Hello fellow paranormalers, and welcome to this video and this channel. Discussion today, and I just wanted to talk about negativity from a psychological point of view. And this is, I believe, like anyone who's watched my videos, I believe all these things are interconnected. Negativity, like positivity, affects everything. Everything is negative or positive, or has a negative or positive property to it. I'm dealing with a client at the moment, a very new client at the moment, who is dealing with what they believe to be really negative attachment of some sort that, in her words, is basically tearing their family apart. Or seriously affecting, her and her relationships, etc. And how can I put this? The reality is that sometimes people I feel have to be honest with themselves about whether they are a naturally positive or a naturally negative person. And let me put it in a very simple terms. You've heard the term, glass is half full or half empty. That's very simplistic, but I think for the purposes of this video explains what I'm trying to say very well. If you are honest with yourself and life and everything around you generally tends to be, the attitude of the glass is half full, then you are a more positive person than somebody who thinks that, things around are not, things are going against you all the time, and you think negative about things all the time, or the first thing that comes into your head is a negative thought, or your attitude is one of life and everything around it, or whatever it is, the glass is half empty, then you're predominantly a negative person. Now, I am in no way saying that this is a good or bad thing, but it is good and a positive step, as it were, to be honest with yourself about your natural inclination, your natural psyche. Because, do you feel that other people are always taking your energy away from you? Or do you feel that when you're near other people, you feel, that you can kind of take their energy to make yourself feel better? Think of it a bit like a magnet, in a way, or a battery, in as much as, there is a positive and negative side to things. And if you can't be honest with yourself about that, or you don't have the ability or don't feel very confident to be able to identify that about yourself, then I would highly recommend that you ask a selection of people. Not always people in your family, although they are a good sounding board, as it were, but maybe friends, or maybe work colleagues, maybe people that you associate with. Just ask them, who do you think what do you think I am? Am I a naturally positive or a naturally negative person? And being honest with yourself is about listening to that feedback and learning to live with, if you like, the fact that you're, more one way or the other, or maybe you're half and half. That's another thing. You could actually be half and half. I'm oversimplifying a lot of this, but in basic terms, most people can probably deal with the fact that they're either a more positive or a more negative type of person, because it's quite simple for people to understand. Anyone that's interested in the more psychological aspects to all of this and wants to go into it in a more in-depth, then you need to explore things. There's a million and one other things that can influence your positive and negative energies. Why am I saying this? Well, people who suffer a little bit more, who get drained really quickly while they're involved in sort of paranormal activity, as it were. People who feel they're being haunted, people who feel that they're being attacked, people who, you know, always get bad feelings around buildings, for instance, or always feel that, you know, things like Ouija boards and palm reading and stuff like that is a really bad negative thing, you know, that the devil is going to come and possess your soul and whatever. In my view, in my experience, and dealing with somebody who I'm trying to help at the moment, you know, people have to realise that maybe their psychology, their psyche, their attitude, whatever you want to call it, their mental state at a particular time was allowing this to affect them. And by not doing things like, you know, practicing safe paranormalism, as it were, not practicing, you know, to protect yourself and cleanse yourself and earth yourself and doing all of these things and going in, if you like, before you go into doing anything in the paranormal world, you need to be in the right frame of mind. I know this probably sounds very touchy-feely and a bit intangible, but it does have an effect. Whether people like it or not, it is going to affect someone who is negative going into a paranormal or walking through, you know, a building that's got some sort of negative attachment to it, or encountering, you know, a negative spirit of some sort, or an entity, you know, is going to affect them. That is the way, you know, that things work. And if you realise that that's what's happening, and you realise that you are susceptible to these kind of things, then you need to turn these things around or learn how to protect yourself. So something else that comes into this as well, because this person I'm helping is part of a family unit. Now, I don't know everything, I don't know the history to the family, but you know, with my analytical mind on and my psychological hat, I would also delve into things like, has something changed within the family unit recently? Could it be that a family member inside the house, the family unit, or external to the family unit, could be psychically attacking them? You know, sometimes, you know, these things happen. It could be a child, it could be the partner, the wife, the husband, whatever, you know. The other thing that I would also check would be EMF levels, you know, to see that there weren't any sort of massive amounts of EMF coming in, making those disturbances and making those changes, because they affect us as humans. I mean, we're built up of partly electricity. Our whole system, brain, is run by electrical pulses and nerves. So, you know, if those are upset in any way, or they're being bombarded by you know, EMF, external EMF of any sort, that's going to affect our brain. It's going to affect our emotions, our physiology. So there's a lot of aspects. The other thing could be, has someone in the family, or they themselves, brought an object into the house or the family that, you know, is like, people like, oh, you know, it could be haunted, or, you know, it could well be occupied by a negative energy of some sort, or they could be a link to a negative source somewhere with that object. So that, you know, there are a number of things that I go down the route of checking, debunking, if that's what you want to call it. You know, people call these things all sorts of things, but you know, these are things that you have to check. before you can start assuming that it's a paranormal related issue, I think sometimes people assume that when something is happening outside of their control, and especially if they are interested in paranormal or parapsychology or anything to do with this kind of realm, people like to have a little bit of drama in their life, and they like to think that there's some sort of paranormal connection somewhere that is the source of the problem. And in my experience, a lot of it isn't paranormal at all. It's very often a psychological thing, very often linked to a situation that has occurred within a family unit, or something that has changed within a family unit that is causing the energy disturbance and the flow of things. So anyway, that's my analysis of how I go through the process of identifying and helping people out. You do have to be sensitive to each person. Not everybody is the same, and not everything is linked to being paranormal as everyone likes to think. A lot of these things can be explained and can be debunked, if you like, and if the person is receptible to and open-minded to it, then they will very often realise that they can be in control, that they can stop whatever is happening excuse me, and then move on. That's what a lot of it's about. So I hope you found that useful, and that you've gleaned something from that about helping others, to get over sort of disturbances or negative energies or things that are upsetting in their life, that they feel that they haven't got control, and how to deal with it. So okay, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you again in another video.